I mean, we're just doing a straight dual racing. We're going to try and get almost everybody, if not everybody, racing this weekend. We are going to race 3/8 and 2/4s. They're each bringing 2/8 and a 4. So it's a chance to get more of our athletes out because they don't necessarily always get to travel to every race. But this gives everybody a race, which I think is important and one of our first times doing it. We're all really excited. I mean, it's also a little bit like it's weirdly stressful in that, we're not planning on traveling and doing all the driving, but yet making sure that, with this being one of our first real home hosted events, or both of these being one of our first real home hosted events, like making sure we are, crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's to make sure we have a good experience for the teams coming here as well as for our team. And then, obviously, as we want to make this rowing course on Ford Lake more and more of a draw, making sure we're getting all this stuff right and doing some after action and making sure what we can fix and be better at the next time. So we're really excited. I think the athletes are really excited to row at home. I think they're also weirdly, like, I don't want to say blah, but they're also like, I mean, it's home. Like it's kind of a new experience because we don't race at home. So, there are gonna be some things that they have to like start, preparing that they don't have to when we're on the road that get kind of done for them. So yeah, it's going to be a different experience. Well, I think it's given us some time to like get some things figured out. I mean, we're going to obviously have to test it during a race because it doesn't really count until you are able to do it during a race. But with our team being kind of as young as it is, we're doing a lot of things to kind of try and give them some maturity that might be beyond their experience, particularly at the college level. Without anybody racing really last year, like both of our sophomores and our freshmen really don't have college races, 2Ks, and maybe they have one, that's barely anything. So it's really been getting them the idea of how hard they have to push, how they have to focus when they are tired, really working through a lot of their, the best way I can put is maturity of like, not just throwing everything you've got in the first 2 minutes, that it's a 6-7 minute race and you got to make sure you row for 6 and 7 minutes. Obviously the faster, the better. We raced both of them. Dayton, I think we saw them at the George Mason Invite 2 years ago. And Duquesne, we raced them at the Cooper River Invite 2 years ago, in 2019. Yeah. So we've raced them, actually, to be honest, relatively recently. And I think we beat both of them in those 2 races. They might have beaten us in the 4. I think we beat them in the 2V and the 1V. So, I mean, they're A10 teams. They're, we're technically CAA, but they're mid-majors. So they're in our same kind of bracket as far as what your equal competition. So, I haven't seen them. I know they've both been doing a really good job of their recruiting because we keep running into them on the recruiting trail. Like we keep hearing their names from other athletes. So, I mean, it's hard to say. Like one of the things as we look through results this year is they're all over the place. Like people who were traditionally really fast don't look quite as fast. People who are traditionally not fast are in the top 10. So there's a lot to be that we just don't know. Like we're going to have to go out and just race hard and let everything fall from there. Because it's just been such a weird year, and how much you get to train, what boats you get to train in. It's just, you don't really know anything until you start racing. So that's that's the big thing that we're looking forward to is seeing somebody that's kind of in our weight class. It's all tied to the pandemic. Some big teams that have a lot of international athletes, the international athletes aren't able to travel or come into the country for this semester. Like that's a real thing, that if you got 10 or 20 people, that are international, and they make up the majority of your 1V and 2V, all of a sudden like things change when they can't come in. The other one is just the day-to-day contact tracing or department shutdowns. Like, losing 2 weeks in any portion of your season or more than 2 weeks is a huge hit to your ability to go fast. And it's just, you're having to, this year it might not just be who's most disciplined in their training, but also who's the most disciplined in their day-to-day habits with COVID. It's just, you never know. So it's really, how much depth do you have on your team? There's just so many factors. And if you lose, if you have a couple people from your top boat contact traced out, that has trickle down effects all the way down. And it just can affect everything about how you're racing. So yeah, it's mostly tied around COVID because there's no continuity this year. It depends. Technically, our race could be on both a river and a lake, because our Ford Lake is a dammed section of the Huron River, so it's technically the Huron River and Ford Lake. So it kind of depends. Part of the benefit of a river is it's got usually a little thinner, so the wind doesn't affect it quite as much. But it just depends on the venue.